Hey, what's up everyone? Hope you're all having a wonderful time. Here we have an updated video on the Energy Blade Inquisitor for PB1 Secret of the Atlas. And we are now 1 week into the new league, and I thought I'd go over where we are on the build right now. The character at the moment is at level 95 and with around 10k energy shield, and this is something that really helps out with boosting both the damage for our energy blade and scaling the damage overall, and also our survivability by a ton. And the fun part is that I haven't really changed too much, I feel, actually. But there are some new items to show you, but mostly just some mid-maxing out of skills, doing some small tweaks here and there, and just be able to get the build to function. But it's really starting to add up when you start to get towards those higher numbers for attribute stacking. Now, currently around 8 to 10 divines in gear so far, as the build sits right now, and we've done most of the bosses, both the new ones and the old ones, except for Ubers. And overall, we have just cleared the Atlas, basically, and at this point, we are now at the state where we really need to start to pour in tons of divines to start to get improvements to invest in our gear here, and well, that's just the beauty of attribute stacking. Now, before we go over the changes from the last video, I recommend you to take a look on the previous one, as I go over everything you need to know to get started in that video. Link for that will be in the description. And with that said, let's take a look on what's new for this current setup. Now, first of all, let's take a look on our flasks here. Now, as you can see, we are now using 3 flasks instead of 2, and we have added 1 bismuth flask here, and this is basically making us cap our elemental resist now, and we have changed out a lot of other items and then replaced it with like stats and even more damage, right? And yeah, this flask is now what's basically carrying up our elemental resist. Now, overall, the build uses the traitor, right? We gain charges here per every flask slot that's empty, right? And basically, when you have 3 flasks, this node or this flask with 20 quality is enough to sustain. Even it doesn't matter really what you have for your prefix. I have maximum charges, which is basically the worst one you can get, and this is still enough for me to keep this up all of the time. Now, however, the Coruscating Elixir, this is the one that makes you so you don't take any chaos damage from your life, right? It takes it from the energy shield instead, because we are reserving all our life. We don't have any life, we have only energy shield. So this is what's making us stay alive, right? And basically what this does is when you have 3 flaws, this is not guaranteed to be up all of the time. However, at this point in the build, we are dealing quite a bit of damage, and the bosses don't last that long, so it doesn't really matter for us as of now. And with 3 flaws, this can be up around, I think it's 2 minutes, so 120 seconds, and that's pretty long fight. And that's a pretty long duration to be able to sustain them, but do keep in mind, if you are using 3 flasks, you won't be able to have this up all the time, but 2 minutes is a really long time, and it's more than enough to do most boss fights in the game. So with the flask here, we get over 50 to all elemental resist, which is just insane, and this is freeing up a lot of things to do elsewhere. Now, first of all, we just changed out one of those rings that had all elemental resist on it. Now we have extra attributes here. Also managed to get this one with the T1 flat life as well, which is really awesome. And yeah, really boosting up those numbers. So we now have 2 with attributes on them, and I'm probably going to try and make this one a little bit better, right? It do lack a little bit of life there, and probably the next step after that would be to try and get chaos resist, I feel, because that's the one thing that we now are lacking. I'm popping up my flask here, and we are capped, as you can see, but chaos resist is something that we still are struggling a little bit with, and that might be something to look into for the next phase. Now, other than that, the rest of the gear is kind of the same. I've just basically quality everything. I had to get some better rolls here, so we basically mid-maxed pretty much now. I could probably get a little better instrumentis, I think. But yeah, we have a 6-link tower now. That's huge, right? And yeah, so we are using a Swift brand support now for our 6-link. And this is basically making it so the brands just hit a lot faster, right? We get 49% more activation frequency with this, which is really nice. It just makes it so we reach those higher stacks a lot faster and just dealing faster damage overall. Now you could also use something else like a cruelty support for your red socket here, or even hypothermia also works. It makes you deal more with hits on shield enemies. That will work as well if you are managing to get some shield there. But yeah, otherwise I would recommend to go with that. You can also try and add a critical strike chance if you are lacking a little bit on the crit, right? That also works as well, because you do get flat crit from that as well with the increased. But yeah, we are pretty much capped. We are almost capped now, and that's going to be without the Assassin's Mark. And yes, we're at 100% basically all the time with Assassin's Mark. And we also got some new boots here. Now we are using a rare couple of boots, and these also are with attributes on them, int and strength, as you can see here. And yeah, one thing here is that you want to go for is going to be to get chance to avoid being shield. It's not the biggest deal, but this was something that I forgot to mention last time. I mentioned the belt, right? We get everything immune from the belt, and combine that with our Pantheon here, with the freeze immunity that we get from here, and then we get immunity to ignite and shock from the belt. However, we don't get the shield immunity, and that's where our boots come in here. And if you manage to get this enchant here, you can go and grab that to get movement speed, and also 100% chance to avoid being shield if you have rare boots. And this is how you get full elemental element immunity. And yeah, so these are the boots I'm using right now, and they are working really well. But yeah, it's not the biggest deal if you choose to not use this mod. You could also get 50% reduced effect of shield for the last point here on the Pantheon. Now, something I forgot to mention last time is we're also using the lesser one, Soul of Tukahama. We get some physical damage reduction if we are stationary. But we also get the regen 2% of life per second while we are stationary, and that's going to be transferring into energy shield regen, right? By using the Additonal Youth, right? Combined with Seal of Oath. And this is something that I like to run around with. But you could use other ones as well if you like to. Soul of Relakesh is pretty good. You get reduced physical damage taken, and also corrupted blood, that you can't get too much stack of those, right? Something to take in consideration. And even Soul of Shakari is something that's really helpful as well for the build. Now for the auras, we don't use Purity of Elements anymore. We don't need the extra elemental resist that we got from that, and also the elemental ailments, right, which we just went over with the bells and stuff like that. But yeah, we're now using a extra Wrath aura instead for even more spell lightning damage to us, which is just awesome. Here's my tooltip right now, and that's going to be without all the frenzies and stuff like that. But if you like to compare with yours, I'm at 900k roughly right now, and when we are in combat, right, we are around 1.5 million, I think. And it's but take it with a grain of salt. The tooltip isn't always accurate, but it's something that you can compare with at least. We also have a new link here. We're using NG Blade with enhanced support. This is something that we are still trying to level up to level 3, and fingers crossed getting it corrupted to level 4, right? This improves quality of supported skill gems, and the great thing with NG Blade is that it scales best with the quality here, because it makes it so you just get more energy shield overall, right? It's less diminishing returns from the gem itself. And we're also putting in punishment here. Enemies with curse with punish is also debilitated for a couple of seconds here, and it just improved the duration from it. It's basically make it so they deal less damage and have less movement speed. And also lastly, Flame Dash, you just get some extra cooldown recovery from it, so we just can use it more often basically. Now on the passive tree, there's just some small tweaks basically. We are putting some more points here on life, we're taking a Yule slot here. And we also took the mastery, which we went over last time, +5 to strength per allocated mastery passive skill tree. So you just get more flat strength, right? It's picking up all those mastery that we are using here and just adding flat strength, right? Now, one thing that's also new is a Watcher's Eye. Now, here we get increased maximum energy shield, we get increased maximum life, right, which scales great with our build. We also get a critical strike multiplier while affected by precision, just damage, right, it's awesome. But the last node there is a % of lightning damage actually leached as energy shield while affected by wrath. Energy shield leech is really strong for the build. As you deal more damage, the leech will just give you more value, right? It's super strong for us, especially makes it so we can just charge into a pack and not being worried about dying. And yeah, it's really nice. And because we're using that, we could respec from these 3 points here and put them elsewhere in stuff like these, right? So that's why we are using that node on the Witcher's Eye. So if you want to put something else here, that's fine, but then you still have to put your 3 points in here. Maybe even just 1 point would work. 0.3% of spell damage, leechless energy shield might even be enough to sustain, right? But that's why we are using that node here, which is really nice. I found this very cheap, just one divine, right? So I just had to take it. We also managed to grab ourselves a new brutal restraint, and that's actually from the last video when we were going over how you could find your one for yourself, right? And I managed to find a pretty nice one for basically just like 50 chaos, and I just snagged that one, and yeah, here we go, just a better brutal restraint for us. Now got some increased life, we got the gain onslaught, which is really awesome for just mapping, right? You get the cast speed that scales for the damage, and just movement speed is awesome. Attack speed works with shield charge, and yeah, would recommend you to use that as well, or try to get one with that one. And the last one for the strength node, you have some increased effect of auras from your skills, just buffing all of our auras. We are using quite a bit of auras, right? And yeah, it's some extra nice addition, right? For the Animate Guardian, it's basically the same. However, the Merc we are using do have some new items to it. One of them being Comb's Binding. It's making some nearby enemies convert 25% of their physical damage to fire. It just makes it so we take less physical damage, right? As it mitigates the fire damage with our resist that we have. Now, other than that, we are using a Thunder Sight, and this gives us the chance to sap enemies. And sap does basically, it lowers the damage that the enemy deal to you, and we also put it with a Storm Charger, which will buff the effect of lightning ailments by 50%, almost there, and that also works with the sap, so it just deals less damage. It's another debuff to the enemies. We're still using, I got a double corrupted one from the last one, the Morosaur here, with the blind, right? And I also shoved in a Thief's Torment. I'm not really sure if the increased rarity works or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It gives a shit ton of all elemental resist, and you also get the life per enemy hit with attacks, which is kind of crazy with the kinetic Merc, right? You get the kinetic blasting of clustering, just hitting everything all around. Oh, also, I actually managed to get a new kinetic dude, and one with also inspiring cry, I just realized here. And yeah, it just gives you a bit of increase to damage, nothing crazy, but just a small upgrade to this build and setup. Other than that, we're still using the same gloves we've used before for Unrave here, just the increased damage buff, right? And Victor's Charity for the Frenzy charges, 5% to grant the Frenzy charge to nearby allies on hit, which is awesome. And also Perkins Toe, nearby allies damage with hit is lucky, same as we used before. And the Frenzy charges do really add up to the build, right? You're almost getting over 2 million hit DPS here. And this is also not including the lucky hit that we get from the amulet from our Merc. So that's basically all the news that I made to the build so far. And you have some other things you can go for this build, right? You can go a cluster setup with 2 personalities, right? With both strength and intelligence. These are around 15-16 divines right now each, and you do need 2 of them, right? So that's something you can put your money into. Another thing is going to be Eye of the Great Wolf. Here you get with increased attributes and also increased defense, for example. You can go with crit multi here as well, but these are also like quite a bit, right? 50 divines, awesome. Something else is to play around with Forbidden Flesh and Flame. One of them being Unwavering Faith. Here you get increased reservation effect of skills. This is something that they changed from the Guardian, which is super strong. And yeah, it just makes it so you can fit in more auras basically. It's awesome, and I'm not surprised that it's so expensive. Another one is going to be Arcane Blessing, for example. This gives you Arcane Surge, and this is also something that's really nice. You get another 20% damage multiplier, right, for your skill, and also you're getting the cost speed as well, which can be nice for the build. And these are super expensive, so might not take a look on that. Now, I was playing around a little bit with block also to make ourselves a lot stronger. You can get up to like over 60 to 70% with quite a minimum investment actually. Now, one of the things I looked a little bit into was Bastion of Hope, and you get 25% chance to block attacks when using a attack, so like shield charge for example, and then you get 25% chance to block spell damage when you're using a spell or even cast a spell, which can be really nice. I think you can actually get yourself capped to block spell damage really easy, or up to 75, right? Because you already are at 40% with the current setup. If you use that one, and then you also have down here, right, you have additional block right here, which is like 20%. Then you can also use the Mastery. You get block to a spell damage per 5 chance to block attack damage, right? And these are really close by. You have some other ones that's close by as well. You can use the Jewel right here in the middle. That's picking up all those that you haven't allocated, right? Unnatural Instinct, that's the name. So if you manage to go here, you have 9 points block here as well. And then also getting the movement speed here, right? And you get some extra life, so might be something to look into. The resist also, which is nice. And then you also have the Light of Meaning, right? And you could put it right here, and that would pick up all those nodes that are allocated, right, with everything that you picked up right here. And yeah, Lightning of Meaning with increased energy shield. You can also go with Chaos Resist, or even all attributes, right? Because if you are playing around here, you are going to sacrifice it somewhere else, right? The points to spend in here, so it should probably be something to make up for it, right? But yeah, that's just some theory crafting, and it's something to look into in the next video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this video helpful. And if you have any other questions, feel free to drop a comment and I'll try to answer them as soon as I can. And with that said, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!